the panelists. Welcome to the virtual learning episode number 6 of the Disaster Risk Financing Learning Series. It is wonderful to see your participation, showing the growing interest in the topic and the keenness to contribute to the community of practice. My name is Krishnan Narasimhan. I'm the lead specialist for climate disaster risk financing and insurance with the United Nations Capital Development Fund that administers the Pacific Insurance and Climate Adaptation Program. This virtual learning series is organized by the Disaster Risk Financing Technical Working Group under the Pacific Resilience Partnership, and it is the 6th in the series of virtual learning series being organized since last year. This particular VLE 6 has been preceded by topics on basics of DRF, on anticipatory action, the risk retention, risk transfer, and DRF and climate risk financing. VLE 6 is being conducted just following the endorsement of the Pacific Ministers for Finance of the regional roadmap, the regional DRF roadmap and guidelines for developing national DRF strategies, and the topic of today's discussions is very relevant to the roadmap itself. The focus of this VLE emphasizes on DRF being an integral element of the roadmap and guideline, the importance of multi-stakeholder workshop in strengthening financial protection against disasters, building resilience, and in that context, the need for tiered financial products customized to each target segment to provide appropriate and affordable financial solutions at the community level. The key messages that will be shared in this virtual learning episodes are what is the need for multi-stakeholder involvement or an ecosystem approach to strengthening DRF at community level. How can local, national, and regional ecosystems play an important role for increasing awareness, access, and usage of appropriate instruments by communities? Different levels of risk require different products. What is applicable at the community level? The importance of understanding disaster risk in shaping financial instruments and products, and the importance of a very strategic approach at the national level for strengthened financial protection against disasters. I'm extremely privileged to have three panelists, three very, very professional and senior panelists for this episode. Two of them are from Tonga, a country that was last year devastated by the Hunga Hapai undersea volcanic eruption that the world knew where a small island like Tonga was situated, thanks to that episode, not necessarily for the right reasons. The country also witnessed a few Category 5 cyclones in the past, the one being Tropical Cyclone Geeta in 2018 being the strongest in recent memory. And we will be joined by a speaker from Fiji as well, from the Sugarcane Growers Council. And he will be talking about some experiences of how financial protection at the community level is being done, especially for farmers, for smallholder farmers in Fiji, which will form part of this episode. On that note, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you once again for this virtual learning episode. I look forward to a very engaging and invigorating exchange of ideas. And I will request all participants to post their questions in the Q&A box. And within the time frame for this webinar, we will try to get all responses from the panelists, or later on, we will mail you those responses as appropriate. The three panelists for today's episode are Ms. Asopisio Jonaviv Lakalaka from Tonga, Celia Tupou from the Tonga Development Bank. So Pesio is from the Ministry of Finance. Before I invite her to speak, I will give a short introduction of her bio. and of course, Vimal, I mentioned it would be the third speaker. The first part of the agenda is the scene setting and a briefing on the DRF roadmap. And I would now request Moses Sikiwao, who's a doyen and a veteran of disaster risk management and DRF in the Pacific. He doesn't need any introduction, and he's been in this domain for several years, working with the various partners across the Pacific. And he has been one of the architects behind the DRF learning series and the DRF working group. He pioneers by his technical support that he has been providing to the DRF technical working group. Mo will set the scene for this virtual learning episode, and also provide linkages with the DRF roadmap and the DRF strategy guidelines that was endorsed at the FEM 2023. Mo, over to you, and welcome to all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Krishnan, and a very good afternoon to everybody who's joining us. Really great to get this opportunity through the virtual learning episodes under the Pacific Resilience Partnership DRF Technical Working Group. This has been part of an effort that really goes back to the early part of 2022, when regional partners working alongside representatives of our countries around the region recognized the need to raise a level of understanding and engagement around disaster risk financing as a very critical element of the broader resilience effort that countries have been undertaking for some time now in connection with addressing the adverse impacts of climate change and of disasters. Everyone online may recall that about 7 years ago now, in fact, 7 years ago this month, our leaders endorsed a regional framework for the integration of our approaches to climate change and disaster risk, now commonly referred to as the FRDP, or the Framework for Resilient Development in the Pacific. There's significant emphasis across resilience building that's established in the FRDP. One such emphasis is around improving our preparedness, response, and recovery in relation to disaster events. There's also a strong emphasis on ensuring that we have access to the right type of financial resources to support our response and recovery. It is in that connection, and Krishnan made mention a moment ago about the decision by finance ministers in relation to a roadmap. So that roadmap is the culmination of an effort of consultation that was undertaken over the course of late last year and early this year. The roadmap basically is intended to provide much more concrete guidance to countries as to what priorities they need to bear in mind if they're going to be effective in addressing the financial protection needs of the whole population. If you just allow me a moment just to share very quickly. I hope that this is visible. Okay, so
Yes.
the actual roadmap document is under publication at the moment, so that will be shortly released online and in print version. So what you have is, this is the guideline, and this is the roadmap and the guideline, which provides all stakeholders in the region, particularly those involved in resilience building, with the simple steps, the priorities that we need to follow in order to build our financial protection against disasters. The roadmap itself emphasizes 5 major priorities. An inclusive national approach. Historically, most of our efforts in financial protection around the region have been led and driven by the ministries of finance. And what has come out is the need to embrace a broader audience, a broader stakeholder group, wider perspectives, because risk, as everyone knows, manifests itself in different ways and affects different groups in our Pacific populations in different ways. So instead of just continuing with a Ministry of Finance-centric approach to building financial resilience against disasters, the roadmap emphasizes an inclusive national approach. And really that is the setting for this particular virtual learning episode that we're going through today. The second priority is around improving our understanding generally of disaster risk. If you understand the nature of the risk that you're facing, then you're in a better position to understand how to respond to it in terms of the various financial instruments that you can employ to better address you to mitigate and reduce risk. The third priority is about understanding disaster risk financing. Disaster risk financing can be complicated. There's different types of financing around that is contributing to our overall resilience building and sustainable development. And so making sure that we understand the kinds of instruments and products that are available is quite important, because we need to then select which instruments and products are relevant to the different layers of risk that we face. The fourth priority is an emphasis around making sure that we all need to strengthen the enabling environment in order for disaster risk financing to be able to take off alongside other resilience building initiatives. Looking at leadership, looking at human capacity, looking at institutional systems, both within government and beyond the reaches of government. And finally, that in order for countries to be able to bring this all together, bring stakeholders together, make sure that there's an improved understanding of the nature of the risk, understanding of the financial instruments, that the vehicle that is being proposed for countries to pursue is a national DRF strategy. So those are the 5 priorities. This learning episode, as Krishnan has already alluded to, provides a perspective of what can be done or what is being done at a community level that can build momentum towards a much more inclusive approach. So, a bit more of a specific context there. What our colleagues will be presenting from Fiji and from Tonga, the responses that we hope are forthcoming, will help the regional and the national effort in our countries to ensure that we embrace an inclusive national approach much more meaningfully, so we can derive better results for the work that we need to do in strengthening financial protection. So I'm very interested to listen to what people have to say, and looking forward to the interaction ahead of us. I'll leave it there, Krishnan, and go back to you.
Mo, thank you very much. I think Mo has given a good highlight of the main priorities that the DRF roadmap is going to cover, and then how it fits well with all our learning episodes, as well as some of the work that we are doing. So on that note, I will now invite the first of the 3 panelists and ask her a specific question around the work that her ministry is doing. I have great pleasure in welcoming Ms. Asopisio Genevieve Lakalaka, who's a Tongan citizen. She graduated with a Bachelor of Commerce from the University of South Pacific, majoring in accounting and economics. She began her career as a teacher at one of the Catholic schools in Tonga before she moved to work for government since 2014. She now serves as the chief economist under the Aid Management and Resilient Development Division of the Ministry of Finance, working in collaboration with Tonga's development partners, such as the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and the UN system. She just recently returned back to the ministry after a 6-month attachment with the World Bank headquarters in Washington, D.C. So she brings a very good blend of an experience with World Bank, being a development partner, as well as part of the Ministry of Finance. She is responsible for aid management. So, Pesio, my question to you would be, Tonga is one of the most climate vulnerable countries in the world. Actually, it ranks third in the World Risk Report. And last year, you were devastated by one of the most strongest volcanic eruptions on record, and the ensuing tsunami as well, which caused widespread damages to the country. And then you also faced multiple weather events, including cyclones, in the last few years. And due to climate change, these are likely to go up in numbers, frequency, as well as intensity. So in this respect, can you briefly tell us about how the Tongan government is using its social welfare scheme and disability welfare scheme for a community response to those affected by these extreme events? Thanks. So the floor is yours, Pesio.
Thank you very much, Krishnan, and malolele, everyone. Thank you again for the introduction, and I appreciate the opportunity to be part of the panelists for the Disaster Risk Financing Learning Series, which is the virtual learning episode number 6. So as you have mentioned, and you may all be aware, the beautiful island of Tonga is unfortunately considered as one of the most risk country to disaster. So in recent years, as Sylvia mentioned, we have experienced continuous cyclone of severe disasters such as DC Kita back in 2018, which is one of the most intense tropical cyclone to impact Tonga. And on the other hand, the other devastating disaster in January last year, as you've mentioned, was the eruption of the Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'apai underground volcano, which also triggered a tsunami. This volcano eruption, as you all know, has been described as a once-in-a-millennium volcanic event, and the most powerful eruption in the past 30 years. However, coming back to the question on what has been the government-led response to affected communities after these disasters, particularly focusing on 2 types of financial products, which actually directly creates benefits at the community levels in terms of recovery and response to disasters. As you may be aware, these financial products, the social welfare scheme for elderlies, as well as the disability welfare schemes, they're categorized under the adaptive social protection, which has been successful in a way that it enables the government in reaching out in assistance to the most vulnerable groups in the community here in Tonga, such as the elderlies and the disabilities. These approaches is also reflected within Tonga's disaster risk financing strategy, in which we were assisted by the World Bank in its development and was approved back in 2021. So this strategy would guide and ensure that the government have the resources necessary to manage the adverse financial and economic consequences of disasters through a structured and strategic approach to financing for responses. And also it was designed to function as a prioritization tool for the allocation of scarce financial resources when responding to disasters. So within Tonga's DRFS, there are 6 strategies, strategic priorities, and the 5th priority refers to the development of a shock responsive social protection system. And under this priority is this is what we consider the social welfares. However, before these disasters reached our shores, these welfare scheme was already under discussion. However, looking at the welfare scheme for the elderlies, it was revised in 2017, and again, it was further revised in 2020. But for the current scheme of the elderlies, as you can see in the screen, that there's an approximation of about 4,470 elderlies. That is out of a total population of about 100,000 here in Tonga. And there's an approximately 4.8 million budget annually. So with the timely and generous assistance of development partners, the government of Tonga received cash assistance for recovery and reconstruction efforts, of course, following TC Gita, for example. And the National Emergency Recovery Committee here in Tonga, in collaboration with lead clusters, were instrumental in advancing a timely assistance required for the vulnerable and highly impacted during the disaster phase. So for the current short-term recovery phase, there were recovery works undertaken, and that includes the payout of grants for registered disabilities and elderlies. And so these schemes was used for this purpose effectively, and it ensures that these vulnerables are assisted accordingly during this difficult time. With the disability welfare scheme, as you can see, there's an approximation of about 1,109 disabled with 2.2 million budget. So the Tonga National Policy on Disability Inclusive Development was approved back in 2014. And the disability welfare scheme, known as the A'utonukiai, being established with the idea that the government reached out directly to those in need with cash assistance. So there's always an allocation within the Ministry of Finance for this scheme, and we work together with the National Retirement Fund Board with the disbursement of the funds under these schemes. I think that's what I have for now. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Pesio. I think that was a very good overview of what the government, through its policy interventions as well as actual financial interventions, has responded to the extreme events that the country has faced. It's also an indication of how the DRF like strategy and the pillar 5 that you explained, linking to shock responsive social protection, is ready for such events in future as well. Because just earlier today, I was reading an article that the average age in Tonga is going up and the number of people elderly is going up, and the caregiving is becoming a big problem. So I think with what you said, I feel that the ministry is duly prepared for such an eventuality. Thank you very much for those interventions. We will come back to you if there is time and if there are any questions. So on that note, I'm very happy to move to the speaker from Fiji. Vimal Dutt is a veteran, seasoned sugar industry professional, having served for over 20 years with institutions such as the Sugarcane Growers Fund in various capacities, including acting CEO. And now he has been with the Sugarcane Growers Council since 2020. He also serves on the board of South Pacific Fertilizers Limited and the Sugar Research Institute. He has a master's in management MBA from the University of South Pacific, and he has undergone several professional development courses, including in the sugar industry. So Vimal, welcome to the panel, and thank you very much for agreeing to be on the panel to share the perspective from the Sugarcane Growers Fund, which is the apex body for all sugarcane growers in Fiji, and therefore responsible for over 15,000 sugarcane farmers and their households, which approximately numbers about the total household. If you multiply, it's about 90,000 people, taking the Fiji average per household. What is the significant role that Sugarcane Growers Council plays in supporting farmers and their communities after any natural disaster, and overall in building their resilience? Can you please tell us about your experience in first rolling out the bundled microinsurance and then the more recent parametric microinsurance, how these initiatives are assisting farmers and the families, and what has been their response? Thank you.
Thank you, Krishnan. And greetings to everyone from Fiji. It's an indeed pleasure for me to share my experiences with the sugarcane farming community here in Fiji. Rightly pointed out, Krishnan, that Sugarcane Growers Council is an apex body for all the cane growers of Fiji, and we represent the 15,000 or so registered cane farmers in Fiji. And having said that, we have approximately 11,800 active cane farmers. When I say active cane farmers, I mean to say that these farmers are basically very much involved in the industry by producing cane and delivering cane to, cane has been their income for a while. On that same note, Krishnan, I would like to share some of my slides. Thank you. So just a brief background about the sugar industry in Fiji. Basically, in principle, I would say sugarcane contributes 1.3% towards the agricultural sector out of the 8.3%.
Sorry, Vimal, can you change to slideshow mode, please?
Sorry. It's
the bottom
yes,
right-hand side of your screen.
Yeah, thank you.
Good now.
So basically, 1.3% is the sugar's contribution in terms of the economic contribution to Fiji in the agricultural sector, and sugar happens to be quite a declining commodity, I would say, and government and we industry, we are very much involved, actively involved in rebalancing the industry or reviving the industry. So there are a number of strategies that are in place and number of budgetary allocations that are reaching to our cane farmers through the government of that day, which is very encouraging, and we farmers, we need their support. So moving ahead, Krishnan, on the aspects of the Sugarcane Growers Council supporting farmers and the communities post-natural disaster, I would say that we are very much encouraged and very much pleased to have the micro insurance product for our cane farmers readily available, which was not there, I would say, when Cyclone Winston hit Fiji back in 2016, which was a category 5 cyclone. We didn't have any, the industry didn't have any such micro insurance product for recovery aspects. So indeed, in 2017, the micro bundle insurance was a introduced to the industry by way of a support or safety net for our cane farmers, named by the micro bundle insurance, which had the cover of up to $10,000 with a premium of $52 per year. I would say basically $1 per week premium. So since 2017 till to date, the product exists. And the first 3 years was the premium was sponsored by an industry stakeholder. Then the growers took the burden of paying the premium on their own. So there is a very good structure in place with the provider, which is FijiCare in this case. And I would say that growers has been very much on the benefit side through the bundle insurance product in terms of the payout that they have received. So basically, the cover engages into term life, funeral benefit, house fire, and personal accidents. So what we have realized over the past is that the funeral and the term life happens to be the most claims that is coming from the growers. And as you can see in the screen, that the trend for past years since 2017 has been, not very flat. So there were years with higher claims and years with lower claims. So like 2022 was the highest claims that was processed for the farmers. So literally, you can see that $602,000 reached to the farming community through micro bundle insurance product. So that meant that basically the women were the beneficiaries, while the males were the owners of the farm, and that technically the ladies or the women sector probably are taking over the ownership of the farms through or after the death of the husbands. So till to date, 2023, I would say that we have processed $378,000 of claims till September, I would say. And this has been very encouraging to note that we have managed to remove the age bracket, which was there from 2017 to 2020. So from 2021, the age bracket has been removed, which had the ceiling of 65, which meant that growers below 65 were not assisted. So that was an achievement for Sugarcane Growers Council in terms of liaising with the providers and influencing them to remove the age bracket. So this is one product that which has no age limit, and it serves the purpose. And we have noticed the recipients, they tend to be very happy and emotional as well when they receive the payouts. The other aspects that I would want to highlight here, that this product has greatly helped the society in terms of the social issues that used to be there through women coming into farm ownership when women didn't have much cash in hand to carry out the governance aspects of the property after the demise of their husbands. That would mean the extraction of probate documents and other legalities. So what we have witnessed that women are in a position because they have some money in hand to carry out those formalities, which probably strengthens their position. So previously, what we have encountered that these farms situations where family disputes would come in, and farms probably would be in a situation that the entire cultivation stops. And also we have realized that women didn't have bank accounts, especially the rural women. So through the funds that they receive from micro bundle insurance, they tend to open bank accounts, and from there on, then their farming as a business continues. So that was basically on the micro bundle insurance. And as I said earlier, the women happens to be the most in terms of receiving as a recipient. And we have also noticed that we have women as well who are growers, and their families are very well covered in that area. Going forward, the The parametric insurance is something new which was introduced, and sugarcane growers was more than happy to pilot this project with our farming community, especially the sugarcane community. And this was, we had a challenge moving into the communities, advocating the product with the help of UNCDF. So we appreciate the efforts that has been made in saving the communities at large, especially the farming communities. And we realized that last year, the last 2 years was probably, I would say, a pilot year for this product, and we see that the momentum is building up. The claims that has been processed, and there are cases where especially the Western Division met the rainfall threshold, and they were the growers were paid. So that means that the product is has a purpose and it serves the purpose. And we are few days away moving into the cyclone season, which starts from the October, and the registration work is progressing very well, I would say. There is a good demand from the growers in terms of uptaking of this product. So that basically means that this is something that has, or that was probably missing in the past years in terms of the farming community is concerned with post natural disaster, especially cyclones. And we realize, or everybody knows, when a cyclone hits, the damage that the farmer sustains. The dwelling structure is partly or completely gets devastated, and of course the crop, which happens to be the main source of income for the farmer. So normally what we see that there are cases of 30% to 40% decline in terms of crop productivity, which means that the grower's income also collapses. So these are some of the products that has entered into the system, and we have given a good recognition by leading this product as a grower representative, and we would want to say that these or such products that sustains to a level that grower, we would want to see that at least 50% to 60% of our farming community has such a product for their long-term security, because this is something that is affordable to them, I would say. The premium is affordable, and of course the payout is not that huge, but this is something that the farming community needs very much, and we are very much into it, so that the entire farming community has the opportunity to capitalize on the parametric insurance in particular. On the hindsight, we, the Sugarcane Growers Council, we are also contemplating to have a crop insurance, something of that nature for our farmers. We have seen this, the crop insurance works out very well in Mauritius, and something that we would want to replicate here in Fiji, because there are situations where farmers, they lose the crops, off-season fires, and of course with floods and droughts. So I, as a representative of my cane farmers, I would want to ensure that my farmers are protected by way of catastrophes, adverse weather conditions, and of course, if there are situations to do with their lifestyle in terms of life events, which is the death, and which is basically covered through the micro insurance product. So that basically is the some of the scopings that SCGC, or the Sugarcane Growers Council, has, and the support is there. And I understand that the Fijian government is very much in support of the parametric insurance, and we would be moving out into the farming communities very soon. Especially after this session, I would be out attending a grower session in Reki, and these are some occasions that I used to talk about this small micro insurance, or the micro insurance product in particular, their benefits, and there is a lot of I would say encouragement coming out from the farming community, the desire to have such products as well. So that probably is what I have in a nutshell for that, Krishnan. Thank you.
Thanks, Vimal, for the very detailed and elaborate sort of presentation. The highlight of what you mentioned, which I took note of, is a very inclusive approach that you are taking in ensuring that all your active sugarcane growers and even the other growers who are registered with you are covered. And more importantly, the benefits that are flowing to women who are able to continue the economic activities even after the loss of the breadwinner in the family, and they become the breadwinners of the family, which is also encouraging to note. And it also shows that this is an indirect way of women's economic empowerment, and also a very inclusive approach to a disaster risk financing approach to building resilience in the farming communities in Fiji. So in the interest of time, we will move ahead. I have now great pleasure in inviting the third speaker on the panel. She is the general manager of Awe Pangapau TDB Limited since 2017. Prior to that, she has 38 years of development banking experience with 20 plus years managing IT systems and very successful teams. Celia Tupau is the project manager also for the parametric insurance that TDB is rolling out, and she is also the general manager for Awe Pangapau. Like Celia, my question to you would be, TDB has a dual role. One, it is a development bank mandated to support key economic sectors, MSMEs in Tonga, by offering financial products that are appropriate to those segments. On the other hand, it also is a commercial bank that has to focus on maximizing profits. So how does TDB support communities in building their risk resilience? And specifically, do you ensure that your interventions are inclusive, covering women and other vulnerable groups? And specifically, can you tell us about the responses that TDB did after TC Gita and last year's volcanic eruption? Thank you.
Thank you, Krishnan, for the introduction. Maloi Lele and Pacific greetings to you all. Thank you and appreciate the opportunity to be part of this virtual learning series. Tonga has experienced various disaster types on record starting from 2014 to 2021. And Pesio has alluded to the disasters that Tonga has experienced in the last couple of years. I will talk about Tonga Development Bank's response to each disaster, and particularly to the TA or Tropical Cyclone Kita in 2018 and the volcanic eruption. But prior to the disaster, the Tropical Cyclone Kita in 2018, we did have Tropical Cyclone Ian in 2014, which was a category 5. The post-tropical cyclone Ian 2014, TDB developed a loan repayment moratorium for the first time to help our customers who were struggling after Cyclone Ian, allowing them to make those payments over an extended period of time. Not only that, but the government of Tonga, through the Ministry of Finance and the Tonga Development Bank, provided the people of Tonga with a 1% and 3% government development loans since 2014. The main objective of these government development loans is to provide access to low-cost credit and to support recovery of these sectors: the agriculture and forestry, fisheries, tourism, manufacturing, retailers and wholesalers, education, and also the special facility. When Tropical Cyclone Kita in 2018 made landfall in Tonga, TDB continued to offer the loan repayment moratorium, and TDB continued to provide the government development loans, or the GDL. The bank also provided a cyclone Kita reconstruction loan program. And the purpose of this housing loan product was to assist the people of Tongatapo and Ewa with the reconstruction of homes that were affected by the tropical cyclone Kita. The product was offered for 10 months, effective 1st March 2018, and closing on 31st December 2018, to allow for housing plans, contractors, and building supplies to be secured adequately. The new constructions must meet the building code requirements to ensure the house can withstand a natural disaster, at least a category 3. And there was no processing fee. Interest rate was only 5%, and there was no loan deposits. For the remittance customers, the Avibangabao TDB Limited is the first ever subsidiary company of the Tonga Development Bank, established in 2017, and just a year old when TC Cheetah made landfall in Tonga. Avibangabao continued to provide a no-fee remittance product to our customers, ensuring that more money will reach the families in Tonga, especially our seasonal workers. And at the same time, TDB also provided a small personal loan for seasonal workers to meet pre-departure costs, which they can make repayments directly using Avibangabao from New Zealand. For the COVID-19, TDB's response was particularly towards the inward remittances by waiving the fees and also lowering the FX margin. The Avibangabao Limited launched its corridor to Australia virtually in November 2020, and during COVID, APP, as an online, secure, and low-cost remittance product, has continued to effectively serve the Tongans in New Zealand and Australia, specifically during the prolonged COVID-19 pandemic, to send money home quickly with no fees and a lowered FX margin. ABB has been most beneficial, especially to participants of the Pacific Labour Mobility and Seasonal Workers Program in both New Zealand and Australia. PFIP provided a grant to assist APP, lowering the FX margin for a period of 6 months, reducing the cost for Tongans sending money home. TDB did continue to offer the loan moratorium during COVID-19, and also the government development loans. This has been a continuation since 2014, and during this continuous disaster that happened in Tonga. Again, we did have Cyclone Harvard in 2020. TDB continued to provide the loan repayment moratorium, and the loans restructure were assessed based on each individual as they approached the bank. But when the volcanic eruption and tsunami back in 2021, the Government of Tonga, through the Ministry of Finance and Tonga Development Bank, signed an extension of the implementation agreement of the government development loans on 1st of October 2020 for 5 years. However, due to the impact of the Hunga-Tonga-Hunga-Hapai volcanic eruption and COVID-19 pandemic, a variation agreement was signed between the Government of Tonga and the Tonga Development Bank on the 29th of April 2022, and to be effective 1st of May 2022. And not only the GDL loans, TDB also offered to our women with handicraft loans with 0%. And this was an assistance from UNCDF provided to our handicraft customers, and mainly women, under the Tonga National Workers Council, with 0% interest rate loans as a response to the disaster recovery for Hunga-Tonga, Hunga-Hapai volcanic eruption. In 2023, in just the beginning of this year, we were introduced to the paramedic insurance. And again, with the assistance from UNCDF and partners with Tower Insurance, to provide a paramedic insurance wind cover product that is designed to protect vulnerable populations against the adverse financial impacts of extreme weather hazards. This cyclone response cover provides a rapid cash payout when a customer is impacted by a high wind speed cyclone event, regardless of damage and without the need for an insurance assessor sign-off. For the pilot, paramedic insurance customers have a choice of 3 product options, ranging from top 1,000 to top 10,000, based on the amount of cover they feel they need to fast-track their recovery after a cyclone event. Responses from our policyholders that paramedic insurance can provide some peace of mind at either a more affordable price point or in situations where more traditional policies are simply unavailable. The claims process is also simpler and the payouts are faster. Tower and DDB believes that this cyclone response cover will help dramatically increase insurance accessibility, particularly as climate change impacts increase over time. As we know that Tonga was ranked as the 3rd most at-risk country for natural hazards in the 2021 World Risk Report. But according to Tower Insurance, like much of the Pacific, less than 10% of families have insurance. TDB has a vision to be the most essential financial service provider for every household in Tonga and sees women as the gateway into every household. We can already see over the pilot period that majority of paramedic insurance policyholders are women. TDB targets to build on this vision and engage women as micro-entrepreneurs and preparing them to be risk management leaders in their homes. Ave Bangabao, again, together with the assistance of UNCDF, continue to provide assistance to the people of Tonga with a no-fee remittance product, and again, lowering the FX margin for a period of 7 months for all inward transfers from Australian corridor. I would like to emphasize that most of these responses are possible with third-party support, such as UNCDF, Government of Tonga, have provided to create access to credit on concessionary terms for recovery first and foremost priority, then growth. Our DDB response is limited by the funding we have available to us, but we are also a delivery partner to the Green Climate Fund with an objective to access funds to enhance climate finance, green banking, green investment within the private sector, and also to facilitate programs through DDB. DDB is a bank and already has the infrastructure and systems to have a financial reach throughout the kingdom. We have our offices on main regional centers, Ewa, Hapai, Vava'u, Niuatotapu, Niuafo'o, and also the 3 branches in the main island, Tongatapu. We have several programs with UNCDF in strengthening the collaborations, benefits the people of Tonga, and good foundation for developing the MSME sector, which is the backbone of the economy. There is estimated 30,000 MSMEs in compared to the 60,000 civil servant members and 15,000 members from other formal economy institutions. Commercial banks do not fund informal economy because it is beyond their risk appetite. It is, however, a target sector for Tonga Development Bank. TDB and ABB will continue to respond to disaster in an inclusive approach with financing instruments in order to strengthen communities and building their risk resilience. Thank you, and malo pitu.
So, Celia, thank you. I think that has been very insightful and very enriching. Especially we from UNCDF are grateful for this partnership, which has been strengthened since 2019 when Ave Pangapau was first launched. And I've seen the partnership grow with at least 4 different projects being implemented over the last 5-6 years, including the COVID response projects, the volcanic eruption response projects, and most recently, the ongoing parametric insurance and the credit guarantee scheme. So I would like to thank all panelists for the very insightful and enriching responses into how their respective institutions have tailored community-focused DRF responses to address extreme climate events and build resilience in the communities that they serve in a very inclusive approach. This particular episode has clearly brought out great examples of DRF from a community perspective and the role of each player in the ecosystem. It is important that the DRF needs a multi-stakeholder as well as a multi-tiered approach, incorporating macro, meso, and the micro level interventions, and therefore a very collaborative and inclusive approach. Virtual learning series, including this episode, has firmly reinforced this, and it is our ambition and objective to reinforce this aspect as we seek the commitment and support of all Pacific Islanders. On this note, I would like to invite Moses again to talk about the DRF roadmap and guideline implementation and how this VLE contributes to this agenda. Over to you, Mo.
Thank you very much, Christian, and of course, thank you to our three speakers. I think there's been a lot of very useful information shared. As the speakers were explaining their experiences, a few things jumped out at me. And in the context, we're operating in a regional context. And as I emphasized earlier, in terms of the roadmap, having an inclusive approach is critical to how the countries have a much more robust approach to strengthening financial protection. What came through from the presentations about some of the things that we take that perhaps are obvious, that we take for granted, the need to strengthen awareness and understanding of the situation around us in terms of the kinds of level of risk that we face and the various nuances as well of risk. It's easy to just try to confront it head on, but unless you understand the twists and turns of why people are vulnerable, how they are vulnerable, how certain communities might be more at risk and others less at risk, unless you understand some of these nuances, it's hard to develop products that can better address their needs. So what's also come out is, obviously having tailored products to address this. What's also come out from the discussion is this whole idea of making sure that those who are providing the support are flexible in how they interact with those at a community level. We see that in the work that has been ongoing by UNCDF, for example. We see that certainly demonstrated through the Fiji Sugarcane Growers Council and how they've adapted their approaches. We saw that through the latest presentation by Celia and the Tongan Development Bank, having different offshoots, if you like, for another way of describing it, in terms of the financial support that they provide to community and to vulnerable groups. The support for the disabled in Tonga, the support for those who are elderly. This is helping to cement how we should proceed and how we can proceed more effectively. I think something that has also come up is that whilst financial protection in this context that we've been talking about for communities is quite important for response and for recovery from disaster events, what this is also highlighting is that in the context of all the work that we're doing in development, we must continuously be doing things to reduce disaster risk. All our development must be risk informed, so that when we're actually confronted with a major hazard event like Tropical Cyclone Gita or the volcanoes, our systems are adaptable and we have the mechanisms to be able to adjust because we've been investing all along in reducing disaster risk. I think there are important lessons from here that can be translated to other countries around the region and the partners that support the work on disaster risk financing in terms of how they're engaging with other countries. So for the countries that we're speaking today, we know that Tonga has developed and is implementing their strategy. Adaptive social protection is a strategic priority under the Tonga strategy. We know that Samoa has developed a national strategy. We know that Fiji is developing well underway in terms of the development of their own strategy. We also know that starting next week, the Solomon Islands will be starting the process, and in the coming year, Vanuatu. So these types of reflections and lessons learned are very useful to inform those processes. And I think another learning opportunity that we can explore that has come out of this, you have, for example, speaking today, the Tongan Development Bank. You have the Sugarcane Growers Council representing a significant proportion of agriculture here in Fiji. The opportunity for peer-to-peer exchange between these institutions with similar or institutions in other countries across the region is something I think that's worthwhile exploring, so that you have that learning that transcends the region within the context of these communities of practice, so that they can help and work alongside and support their own governments in strengthening financial protection across disaster. So hopefully that is something that we can get into. Thank you once again for all those contributions. I noticed that there was a question, Krishnan, that has come through from Stephanie Zoe. I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Mo. I think there is one question which can be addressed by Pesio if she can. So Stephanie Zoll asks what M&D tools have been used or being used to evaluate the mentioned welfare schemes for elderly and people living with disabilities. What are some of the lessons learned under these schemes, using these schemes in times of disaster in Tonga? Malo. I think Pesio has dropped off. Maybe we can email her and get a response. Right?
Yeah. If we can provide a written response later to Stephanie, I hope that will be all right.
Yes, I think we can email Pesio and ask her to respond, and then we can copy Stephanie in the email. I think we have come to the end. We have actually consumed 2 minutes more than the 5 minutes of delayed start. On that note, I think we should close this session. I would like to thank all panelists once again. I would also like to thank all online participants, and a big Vinaka Wakalevu and appreciation to all of you. A recording of this will be shared extensively with the DRF technical working group members, as well as made available to the wider audience. And I would also like to thank the organizers, the team behind putting this VLE together for their contribution. Thank you very much. You all have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Krishnan. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you.